Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the HalfGen podcast. I am Chris, and I'm joined by someone who isn't Ross. You're not Ross.
I am not Ross at all. In fact, my name is Fabian or Dante or Fables, you might know me as if you frequent the stream. And I'm super happy to be here, despite the fact that my voice lacks that rich timbre that your viewers might be used to by now. But I'm going to do my best to be the Ross that these people deserve.
Fabian, thank you so much for being here. For anybody who doesn't know, we talk a lot about former, like those gaming nerds days. Fabian was a gaming nerd, so he was part of that team. So we have discussed in the past, me and Ross, bringing a lot of these guys kind of on and talk, because we were a good team in those days, and so this was something we had discussed for a long time, and Ross has a situation kind of like he had last week, and I didn't want to wait to record this one, so Fabian was gracious enough to jump in here today and kind of co-host with me. I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, for those of you who do or don't know, like I've been around for years. I've been taking kind of quieter, more back seat role in the stream these days, but I've been in. I've been dropping by. I've been giving my 2 cents every here and then, and it's so cool to see like this kind of new culture. Like there's like the new guard, and I'm kind of like part of the old guard when things were smaller and I came in for a game giveaway one day. I think it was Awesome Knots or Psycho. Which one?
Yes, I think I did give you Awesome Knots.
Awesome. That's the one that was like Super Smash Bros. League of Legends, right?
Yes, it was the side-scrolling. Yeah, because they gave us a key, and then I asked if I could do they gave us like an extra key, or I was talking about playing it on my stream, and they were like, "Oh, we'll give you a key to give away," and I was like, "Oh, you guys don't have to do that," and they were like, "Nah, just do it." So I remember that. I think around that time, like I was playing through Skyrim again too for some reason.
Oh yes, you were. You just like unlocked a memory.
That's what kept you like sticking around. Is like that vampire DLC came out, and I was falling in love with the crossbow, and we were just talking Skyrim.
Skyrim, for those of you who don't know at home, is the tale of a two-handed weapon heavy armor user who slowly over time becomes a stealth archer.
That's me.
Yeah.
He's talking about me.
It's this fantasy game where you just eventually realize that nothing is nearly as good as crouching with the bow and arrow.
Or especially a crossbow.
Yeah, especially a crossbow. Great for fighting vampires, especially if there's a vampire who leads you on for like several missions and then isn't available as a romantic partner, despite the game having romantic partners. I always thought that was nuts that you could not. What was her name?
I don't remember.
I want to say Serana, but I feel like that's wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. All I remember is I was playing, I kept modding Skyrim, and the thing that finally got me to stop playing was like I got a 40k Space Marine mod. And so I had like the chainsword and everything. And I turned the game to the max difficulty, and I was just like one-tapping people. And I was just like, all right, this game, I've peaked. Like, the game's just not fun anymore. Like, I walked into like Riverwood, and I was just like, zink, just cutting people down. The guard comes up, like, stop it. Chainsword. I got my bolter and my chainsword. I'm running around, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. People are just dropping dead. And I'm just...
I do remember your mods. I especially remember the mod with the mud crabs. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? What
Yeah.
what what's your stream policy on swearing? How open is it?
It's fine. The
It's
podcast is
fun. Now
explicit.
you
Just know.
fucked up.
Yep.
Now
Now
you
you
fucked
fucked
up.
up.
You have fucked up now.
Now you fucked up.
Now you
The mud
fucked
crabs
up.
are just good. Now you fucked
Now you
up.
fucked up. I remember fucking crying, laughing at that. We were just wandering around.
And then there was
We
like
were
one thing
"Fables,
that I
fables."
remember, like music would play, like when a certain enemy came out. I don't know. I remember I got that in Left 4 Dead. I got a mod going that like whenever one of the chargers would come on the screen, you would just hear when he's around, chocolate,
Chocolate?
chocolate. And he just keeps saying chocolate, and then he'd see you, and he'd just chocolate, and he would charge you. And then like there was one for the tank. It was supposed to play the intro music from Attack on Titan, but I never got it to work. But I did make it work. So we were all like fucking like at one point we were all like anime girls, and all the enemy zombies were xenomorphs from Aliens. And then I changed it at one point to Halo because, you know, once I found out Halo, so I had like all the Halo weapons and stuff and the HUD. And then like, you know, we're just fighting xenomorphs. And I was just like, let's go. This is cool. And then chocolate.
Chocolate? That's actually genius. The one that turns the zombies into a bunch of Teletubbies. I don't know if you've seen the videos of that, but it is.
There was one when you used a med kit, it played sexual healing.
When you get that feeling,
healing, and then like that's how it would play it, just through the heal thing. And so like we would never heal each other because we'd let it get close to the end and stop, and it'd just be like, no, heal me. I'm like, oh, wait, just one more. Sexual healing. Okay, one more. No, I'm dying.
I for one understand the need. I don't blame you for a second.
I just remember I took the dumbest screenshot. I was playing, and like one person is just hanging off the ledge as a giant like anime girl from the Hyper Dimension games, and he's just hanging over the ledge, and I'm just laughing, and they're like, can you help me up? And I was like dying laughing just watching, because they're just dangling with their big eyes and their stupid smile, and they just keep looking at me, and they're like, are you gonna help me or not? And I'm just crying laughing.
Oh my god.
And like, what am I supposed to do?
You can't not take a second to appreciate it.
No, I took several minutes. They might have.
If you
died
wanted
to
be healed or helped up ledges, then you should have played a game with no mods.
Funny.
Yeah, exactly. It's a classic case of you know what you got yourself into, and these are the consequences.
Like, you should have known this would happen. Do you watch ProZD?
I do not watch ProZD.
No, damn. I keep wanting to like show people, because like I keep asking people. He has some stupid thing, and I just saw it on my desk, and on the topic of like weeb stuff, he has this thing where he does this anime, like fake anime thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it's called, but he has like his characters are all like inanimate objects brought to life, and one of them is named Refrigerator Senpai, and like he's a murderer. And so like I got this vinyl figure of Refrigerator Senpai with like a plastic gun and knives.
Nice.
To-do list, revenge. Oh, come on, camera. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, you gotta wave at it like you're an ASMR video.
Oh, there we go.
Try. Oh, wow!
Revenge.
that popped into focus really well.
It's a good camera. It's a Logitech Stream Cam. My only issue is it shakes a lot, and it's very bright.
Yeah,
it's very like contrasty. But like, you know, when it works, like right now, it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, you take the good with the bad.
I have a problem with it where like if I'm like a particular distance away from it in the right lighting, like it'll keep flickering back and forth between two lighting modes, and it gets very annoying and distracting.
Sometimes like if the lighting is not quite right, or if there's like too much, I'll get like the interlacing, which is really weird. Like right now I have to run it in like the 50 hertz mode, which is really dumb, because otherwise I get like a bunch of interlacing. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so like I gotta try and like keep my hands off my desk as much as I can when I record. Otherwise, it's just going to be like shaking like this. So I'm just going to be in a perpetual earthquake. And they're going to be like, Chris, are you okay? Okay from what? I don't understand.
See, this
There's
has
nothing wrong. You're in an
monetization potential.
earthquake. Nah.
You should get like keep something that vibrates on your desk, like an Xbox controller or something. Set up a system so like every 250 bits they get shaky cam. It'll vibrate the controller a little bit. Capitalize.
I'll do like one of those people who like mounts a motor to their desk and like enough bits, and it's just like force feedback desk.
Yeah,
I can't have vibration in my mouse and keyboard, so I'm gonna just hook up a motor to do it.
Exactly.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Same thing.
It's all about kind
just
of
to bigger scale.
That money, making the best of the Twitch stream experience for both yourself and the viewers at home.
I mean, it's the only fair thing to do, really.
Mm-hmm. So since I've been gone, since the days of kind of those gaming nerds into that HalfGen, tell me a little bit about like how it's the big picture story. You and Ross like still running this these days, and like how's it going? I check in pretty frequently, but maybe not enough to have like the whole picture. I'd love to hear about like how you guys are doing in general these days.
Yeah, like, honestly, like in the last couple weeks, it's been tough because Ross is in the middle of moving. And so like recording, like the hard thing is like recording video content over like the internet is tough when you don't have like a good setup for it, because like I have a problem where like, if we want to record locally, and I want somebody to watch, the thing is like I can stream it over like Discord, but then it lags the recording. Or I can, I haven't found a way to make that work really simple, except for like doing it on stream, which then, kind of hurts that avenue of like, well, if people are watching it now, they're not going to watch it later.
True.
Which was something that we ran into with the podcast for a little bit. And we were like, you know what, we're willing to kind of take that. We're willing to take that risk with the podcast, because the podcast has been doing well for us. That's the one thing we've been consistent. And like, the thing is like, we like the writing, like we like the written part of the site, but it's probably this part we're the least focused on right now. Just because like we just redid a bunch of like our format of what types of articles. Like we don't have a review format anymore. Mm-hmm. It used to be the final say, but we don't do even that anymore, because we were looking at it and we were like, realistically, we're just doing these to do them. And honestly, we're doing them to get them out, because they're usually like quick and easy, but it's like, are they really doing anything for us? And so we've been trying to focus on like our video stuff, but even that has kind of slipped. Once Ross moves, we're going to be closer than we've ever been in our whole lives. So once a week we'll be able to get together and be like, okay, let's record a couple. Like we have ideas. We're going to do like playthroughs of like, okay, we're going to play like Lost Odyssey and we're going to record it and put it on the site. Or we're going to do hey, let's record us talking over this game, for like half an hour or something. So like once a week, just kind of getting together and being like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's where we're going to make all of our video content for the week. And then we're going to keep doing the podcast. See, I just bumped my desk. We're going to keep doing the podcast the way we do the podcast. But, for the most part, it's kind of figuring out. We're kind of like going through a lot of change and figuring out, okay, what's the content we want to focus on right now? Like we're trying to put a lot of effort behind our video stuff. The video stuff is just so hard to grow sometimes because, everybody's doing it. And so that's the struggle, is like, we want to differentiate ourselves and we want to like have our personality in it, but that's not always, SEO. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like, oh, we got like a quick look and this and that, and we romp around a game because we think that's funny. That's a cool title. And so we do that instead.
Yeah, I feel you. And then it's like finding like the best mediums and like the best ways of like using them. Because like you said, like if you're just writing those final says to get them out, like that's no way to be doing it. Like I feel like that's gonna be reflected in the work. Like your audience is gonna see, like, after a point they're like, this guy is just making these because he feels like he needs to make these. Whereas I feel like
Exactly.
definitely when it comes to like the podcast and the stream, it's like a lot more in your element. Because like obviously I've been around for 9 years. I can tell you I see something here. So I like that you guys are chilling with that. And I love knowing that you guys are gonna be like, how close are you gonna be? Are you gonna be like drive to each other's house for the
Like
weekend close,
less
or
than an
gonna be
hour
like
away.
visit you after
Like,
work close? Yeah.
yeah, like visit you after work close. Like,
Oh,
hey,
that's
I'll be
dope.
home at this time. Okay, I get out at this time and I can be there, And then it's like, hey, we can record for for 3 hours or something. And then, maybe grab dinner and then you drive home or something. So,
Yeah.
and maybe that's something where every other week we go a different way where it's like, okay, I'm coming to you or you're coming to me or whatever the case may be.
And I think that's like so good for the podcast too, because like even though like technically like online allows for like infinite possibility or whatever, because like theoretically you guys could both get together at like 3 a.m. if you wanted to, with like technically no barriers, but that's not the way it practically works out. And I think like it kind of becomes limiting when you say like, okay, we've set aside this side for the internet time where we're going to log in and we're going to have the dedicated time to do this, as opposed to, I feel like once you're in the same place, like physically, like it can be as easy as like you guys are hanging out and be like, yo, dude, we need to do a podcast about this topic like today,
Yeah.
and that can get those juices flowing like even better. So
Yeah,
I
just
think
being
that's
able to
good.
get together and be like, "Hey, you know what? Like, we want to do this thing." Like Ross and I want to play through, like the Halo campaigns, and that's probably going to be
Mhm.
something that we do online, like on the stream, and we break that out. But there's going to be stuff where we're just doing like, a romp around a game, and me and him are just going to be in one room, one mic, and just talking about this game.
Mhm.
So like, and it's going to be better because instead of me having to like try and figure out how to send him a broadcast of the game, he can just sit
Mhm.
here. We can sit on the couch here and just move the microphone over and be like, okay, let's play Ratchet and Clank and talk over it, or pull up another chair to the computer here and be like, hey, let's look at this game and talk about it. So that
Yeah.
stuff's going to be better. I think it's going to like it's really going to help us with like our video stuff, but I think for like the podcast and stuff like that, we're going to keep the format we have. Cuz like Ross is doing up his room, so he's going to have his gamer room, so he's going to have all his stuff set up. I'm trying to reorganize a bunch of stuff in my space.
Mhm.
I've successfully reorganized everything over there. Everybody probably looks at this week because I keep saying I'm doing it, and everybody's looking at it like nothing has changed. Yes, it has. The Mass Effect helmet is there now. There's another monitor there. You never saw that before.
That is true.
And then
I
there's a
have.
there's a reusable shopping bag. The Google is there now. You people don't even notice. You don't even know. Ace of Spades is sitting on top of the box. You didn't even know. You didn't
It's
even
just
know.
absolutely 100% stark difference. I have been keeping a notebook of the
Mhm.
exact placement of his monitors and reusable bags. So, yeah, I know exactly where they are. Like coordinates on the screen. Uh,
He's mapping it
sorry,
out on a weekly basis.
I'm laughing a little bit because Jim just said
Yeah.
that your sexy face is being ruined by an alphabet, right?
No, so yeah, that's not showing on his end. Zencaster sends lower quality video to the other people in the call to save bandwidth.
Oh,
So
okay.
your local recording will be fine, and then later Cipher, you know him as Cipher, but we on the show we call him Tony because that's his name. But he's gonna come in and just grab all the files and make the video.
Oh, okay. Now I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So make sure when we're done, you don't just close it. Make sure your video uploads all the way.
That is very good knowledge to have.
Yes. Things I should have gone over before the show, but here we
Well,
are.
my motto has always been just to spite the Boy Scouts, do not be prepared. I refuse to prepare for anything,
Close this right away
and I
anyway.
always close everything right away. No questions asked. I find it's the best way to live my life. It's kind of like how cowboys used to live.
One day, because Jem's been on the show before too. Someday we should get both of you on and just have like, just chill and talk.
that would also be very classic lineup. Like me and Jem with
Yeah,
he has a very rich, deep voice as well. Actually, you pick friends with good voice. I think maybe
Yeah.
you kind of select people based on
I'm
like, okay, if I have this guy
compensating.
on my show one day, who's gonna have that kind of right frequency?
I'm
Right.
compensating for my voice, which is awful. And so I'm trying to surround myself with better sounding people, so that when they
Mm.
talk, they're like, well, at least he's not that guy, you know?
Yeah, like bringing up the average. I get it. It's
Yeah,
like
you know, so as a whole, everybody's like, that guy's annoying and talks a lot, but everybody else is pretty good. I
so
wish they talked more, but
so I'll
yeah, I'm
watch
getting
the
carried
show
by
where
other
he's
voices. Like I'm like a 78 on like, in like Madden or something. And then like Ross is like a 91, Jem is like a 93, Nat's like an 89, just like
I
Fabian's
noticed
at like
you.
a, I don't know, where do I put you?
I was
I'll put
about
you
to
at like
say.
a
I noticed you didn't give me
89,
a number yet.
89. I'll put you
Okay,
at an
all right.
89.
I'll take an 80. I have been told
Cause
that I
like,
have a voice
there's
for
just
radio.
something about like they're like, cause you never expect Jem to have the voice he has.
Yeah.
Especially like once you see a picture of him, you're like, really? He's like,
The
yeah, that's me. What's up?
like, I actually like the lowest octave, but like not in like I don't know what idea I'm trying to convey here, but like it's not like a bad thing, but like it's like the lowest I think I recall. Maybe my brain is just like playing it back lower
No,
because
I
like
think he's the lowest.
perfect. Yeah. He like if
Him
we
and then
were
like
a
Ross is
band,
down there too.
he would be like a gigantic cello.
Okay, so
Like
Ross and Jem are the cellos.
when you beat Portal
I'm the
2
triangle.
and all the turrets are singing for you and there's like the big giant one
The
like
big one, yeah.
that's Jem. And I think you should have him more regularly, like and maybe not necessarily always asking his opinion on things, but just getting him to agree with everything that everybody says, like just a yes man. Like you'd be like, oh, consoles are great because I love them and Fabian's
Just
opinions
have
are
him on
wrong.
as a hype
And yeah,
man.
Jem's like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, yeah. I know a
True.
lot about
No, he come
the
out. He
weather. Yeah,
true.
true. Okay, and Jem here in the chat writes like if he stays like 2 hours but only speaks once. But on some of the shows that I listen to, those are my favorite people. The people who just like they know when to chime in. Like Jem's always been that guy, and frequently
Just like when they have
sassy.
something to
I
say,
like
he's just like, hold on. I'm ready.
that.
Meanwhile, me, I'm just like, anyway, I'll keep talking. Is anybody else gonna? Nope. All right, here I go. I'll fill the void. Let's go.
1 hour and 15 minutes of rambling about nothing show. Here we go. Here's a list of the things currently behind me.
I keep looking over because like my phone is usually on one side or the other of my desk, and I have this portable like rechargeable battery bank thing. And I just hit my mic. And like the lighting from my window is hitting it, and so it's like it looks like you're getting a call on like an Android phone. And so like it's the right coloring that I keep looking and I'm like, am I getting a phone call? And then no, it's just reflecting the light, but it's just like it's really annoying because I keep looking over and I'm like, why doesn't it say anything? Oh, because it's a battery.
That is legit the worst.
My
I have
over
felt
here
this
and
pain
nobody's
before.
calling me.
And I've got a Google Pixel 3 XL, and so like it doesn't have like a little light that lights up. Like it's just got like the screen. I don't know if any phones have a little light that lights up anymore. I think that might just be outdated technology now. But like I still swear to God that I see a little light in the upper right corner, like back in the BlackBerry
mine
days.
has a little like LED up here when I have a notification.
So they do still, but my phone, I know that my phone doesn't have that, but like I still see it in the corner of my eye, and I swear to God, it's a little blue light like I had in college on that phone. I don't know. Maybe it's just some kind of subconscious desire for someone to call who's never called
Yeah,
me.
I don't know why Google, like, sometimes Google's really weird because, like, they'll have, like, yeah, we've got, like, this radar camera and it's, like, really dope, but we also don't have an LED for notifications.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
very
What?
mixed opinions on this phone. And until they got a software update, like a 1.5 years into me owning it, it was very good everything but a phone. It literally did not function as a phone, which, like, I'm one of those people who I never want to hear another human's voice if it's possible. Like, I just want to text you, like, send me an email. Like, unless someone's literally bleeding to death right now, send me an email. You know what I mean?
The only
But
time sorry, I'll let you finish, I promise.
how dare you?
I dare. The only time I like calling people, because I have a long commute, the only time I genuinely like being on the phone is when I'm driving. Because,
Yes.
like, there's nothing else to do, you know? And so I'm like, yeah, let's talk about something. Get me through this ride. I
I
always
feel
tell
it.
people, yeah, call me. I'll be in the car in 10 minutes. Call me. I'll call you. I'm like, let's go. Let's just, no, you gotta go. No, man. Like I'm almost home. Let's just, what else you got?
Especially because it's like normally like I never want to be on a call, so like I'm driving right now, like you have an opportunity to call me, you better do it, because the moment this car stops, like we're switching
I
back
just
to
want to go
email.
upstairs and
You
hang up, you know?
yeah, I'm going to drive over to your house with a little pigeon, and I'll drive back to my house. You write your message on a little piece of paper, give it to the pigeon, and then I'll receive the message when I'm ready from that pigeon. You know what I mean? Like, um see, I don't remember what I was saying before now because you cut
I'm
me off
sorry.
because you
Yeah, I
dared.
did. You were
Because
talking about
you
how you don't like
dare.
being on the
Oh,
phone.
yeah, because this pardon me. Because this Google Pixel 3 XL like did not function as a phone. So like when I had to call someone, like they were just hearing like garbled nonsense. And then I learned that the phone plan that I had got, like the insurance or what I had thought was phone insurance, they were actually like, no, actually, what this does is it just gets you a great deal on a new phone. And I was like, pardon? This is so I was stuck with this thing for quite a while. Eventually, they managed to patch it out, but it still has given me trouble. And I don't forgive phones for removing the headphone jack. Um, I've come to accept Bluetooth headphones and stuff, but it is not the same. It is I I'm always so scared of losing an earbud, because if I lose an earbud, you know what? Okay, that's another $89, brother. Enjoy. You know.
One time at work, at my day
Mhm.
job, I was sitting in a chair and my earbuds slid out of my pocket and I didn't realize it and they like lodged themselves inside the chair somewhere. And so I'm like tearing the building up trying to find these earbuds because I had just bought them. I bought the Galaxy Buds Plus because I loved my first pair of Galaxy Buds and I wanted the Plus because they have better battery life. And I agree with you. The headphone jack, getting rid of the headphone jack was a massive, massive mistake. And I'll never fully recover. But I will say, like, I really like my Galaxy Buds. It's not the sponsored thing, but I'm Samsung all the way. But I love those earbuds. Like they're comfortable, they last forever, they sound really good. So when I lost them, I'm like flipping chairs and stuff like that. And finally, I'm just aggressively shaking this chair, and they just kind of boop, bloop, pop out the bottom. And I was just like, oh, thank God, because that was
Yeah.
$130, and I'm like, I have to go buy more fucking earbuds. I did the thing again where I looked at that battery. I'm moving it.
I mean, on one hand, it's a positive story because, like, yeah, you found them in the end. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like that kind
I
of
was so
anxiety, I
mad for
can't
like
live
an
with that in my
hour.
life. And
I was
and
furious.
just like as a side note, I totally
Couldn't
agree with you.
work.
There are like some fantastic like in ear like wireless earbuds. Like I totally feel you on that. 100% agreed. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, no matter like how good it is, like I'm always gonna be living with that anxiety. Or like there's like this awkward period of time where after I get in the house, after I'm walking my dog, like I don't know what to do with these things. Like I either keep them in my ear, like blocking out the sound if I try to do anything else, like, and I don't want to put them down anywhere that's not my charger, because
Exactly.
that, yeah. So like I just kind of like have them in my ears for longer than I like to. I don't know. It's just
It
it's inherent to the product and I don't like it.
it was funny. Like the whole reason I got like the Buds Plus was because I had like I said, I had the original ones, and I was on this really long car ride. I was just a passenger in the car, and over the course of the day, they drained.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there listening to music, and I hear beep beep beep, and I was like, oh shit. Like, I can't tell you how many times too. Like the other day, I had headphones go out on me, and
Mm-hmm.
like I've had headphones where I'm like, oh, are these still working? Let me check. And I go and I'm like, oh shit, I can't plug them into my phone. And so like I gotta grab like my Switch or something. Like it's that realization. I'm like, let me plug them into my phone. Fuck. And I'm like flipping it over. I'm like, no, it's gotta be here somewhere. Where did it go? And now the problem for me is I just ordered because I wanted I use my phone all the time for like videos and games and stuff now. Like I've started playing more games on my phone, so I'm draining my phone battery forever. And I've got a Note 10 Plus that I've had for almost 2 years now, and I really don't want to replace it. I like this phone; it still works well, and the battery life on it is still great. But the last thing I want to do is just start running it dry every day and then like killing it faster, or like running it ragged or something. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up I added a iPad Pro to my service because it was like $30 a month, and I was like, cool, because I can use that as like a laptop replacement, and I can use that for like playing games. I can watch videos at work because it has the 4G, so I can get a phone signal on it, like, and just use it wirelessly. Like I can bring it in cars. I can read ebooks and stuff like that. So I was like, cool, this is just a good like multi-purpose device. I never thought I would be one of those, like, I never wanted to replace, I love laptops. I never wanted to replace like a PC. Like I've gotten Chromebooks and stuff like that. And for a lot of, for most purposes, but I was thinking about it. I was like, man, on an iPad Pro, I could like edit this podcast. Like if I was at Ross's, I could edit this show from that iPad. And like that's the thing is like I had a Chromebook, I had a Pixelbook Go, and it was great. But the thing is like I tried to run a game on it, and it wouldn't, and it was just getting so hot, and I was just like, fuck. I was like, I'm just gonna do it because I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't really need it. I was like, because I have the Chromebook, but then I was like, no, this thing's gonna run circles around this Chromebook because it's the one with the M1. And I was gonna get like a Galaxy Tab or something, but I was like, no, because Apple, like realistically, Apple makes the best tablets. I can acknowledge that. I wouldn't want an iPhone, and I wouldn't want a lot of their stuff. I wouldn't want a Mac, but I've had multiple iPads over the years, and they make a fantastic tablet. And there's a lot of stuff like now I have access to all the exclusive like Apple Arcade and stuff like that. I'll have access to that now. So that kind of broadens my horizons a little bit. Like there's a game from the creator of Final Fantasy on there. That's like they made all these backgrounds in real life and then scanned them and put them in the game. Yeah. So like all the environments are literally handmade and like put into the game. And I want to play that, and it's on Apple Arcade. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to order it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, do my Galaxy Buds work on the iPad Pro? I was like, I am not buying AirPods just for this fucking tablet.
Yes, they do, right?
Yeah, they should. They should, yes.
They bet, yeah.
And like, that's the thing. But that was the stupid thing, because without a headphone jack, I can't just go boop, boop. Right? I have to think, wait.
It's nuts.
Do they talk to each other? Are they on speaking terms? Like...
I mean, maybe, but it's like definitely a money ploy. Like there is no reason aside from like moving things forward into another like level of technology or whatever, or getting people to change their devices up. Yeah. Hear something in the background there?
Yeah, I think it's just the fridge being angry.
Is it running?
I better go catch it.
Oh, this kind of comedy you'll only get it here, man. But definitely though, I do gotta agree with you. The iPad is a very solid piece of machinery. And one thing that I like about the iPad, well, first I'm going to go on a little tangent, that the Galaxy Tab, supreme disappointment. I got it because I loved my Galaxy phones, and I was like, oh, the Galaxy Tab's got to be great. It was very not special to me. I did not love it. And the iPad, though, It's a good piece of technology. It runs great. It lasts a long time. And one thing that I've seen working with populations with special needs is that those iPads can take way more of a beating than you think. Like I have seen these iPads like get smacked around like nobody's business, like putting mouths and stuff, and they are like,
Yeah.
I mean, they've had protective cases on them, so there is that. The protective case deserves some of the benefit there, but like these
But
iPads,
still,
like they
like
can take
a
a
case only
smack.
does so much.
Yeah,
You know, you
like
can still break a tablet through a case.
I've seen them tossed in fits of rage, and like everybody's like, "Oh my god, the iPad!" And the iPad's like, "Buddy, don't worry about me. All good.
Just like,
Everything's
don't
fine.
worry, I got it. But
ain't
yeah.
no thing."
Yeah,
All,
that was why I ended up going with it, because I was like, I can get like the Magic Keyboard, then it's a
mm-hmm.
laptop, and then so I was like, you know, as much as I don't like a lot of what Apple does, when it
Yeah.
came down to it, it was like, okay, this is just the best option for what I need, because I need something that can, and that's always been their thing, and I've always been very anti like tablets replacing laptops, but
Mm-hmm.
like they have a PC processor in it, so it basically at this point is a laptop just without a keyboard, you know. And with the tablet OS they have, it was between that. I think I was looking at the 5th gen Mini, and I was
Mm-hmm.
looking at the 2020 iPad Air, and I
Mm-hmm.
was torn between them, and I just decided, because like I was looking at, they have the 12.9-inch Pro that has like their crazy HDR screen, like their XDR, that's supposed to be like the best screen ever put in a like device that size. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up going with the 11 because it was a little bit smaller. So I wanted something that would be easier if like I wanted to read on it, or something that'd be a little easier to hold like one hand, or like, you know, like this and read. But the other reason was the screen was still great, and the battery life, everything I saw was like it was one of the best, if not the best, they'd ever tested. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'll give up some HDR color quality for, you know, an extra 3 hours of battery life, because I'm also going to
Yeah.
have the data going through it. So that's going to take some of that away. So the way I look at it is, I'll still probably get 10 hours of like
Mm-hmm.
use on it. You know, if I ever need to catch a plane somewhere, it's like, okay, well, at least my iPad's not going to die. My iPad's going to outlast my Switch, you know? So
Very well
I
might.
have that going for me, you know?
I don't know.
That thing
Oh
does
yeah, I
not do
guess yeah.
great. You can get maybe like
And
5-ish
the battery
hours.
life is what you want. Like if that's not like a device that you're going to for high performance per se, like obviously like you better performance is obviously better, but like if you can trade out like that performance for that battery life, like that is so quintessential
Well,
to
but
what it
that's the
does.
thing. You're not trading the performance, because it's got the M1 processor in it, the same
Mm-hmm.
one that they're putting in the Macs.
Hmm.
So
I
like the
mean,
MacBooks are using the same processor as the iPad Pro. They've just got this thing down to a science, because Apple owns, you know, they use the components from everybody, but they just have such rigid control of every step of their process, you know,
yeah.
because they make their own processors. They, you know, they go to Samsung for things like the RAM, they go to Sony for things like the camera, but it's like, look, if you're going to, you know, they get these so like tailor made, and it's like Samsung can't make a phone globally as effectively as Apple can, because Samsung has like their in-house processors, and people talk so much shit on those, but honestly the best Samsung phone I ever had the Note 7 had one
Mm-hmm.
of their processors, and I'm just like, why do they keep putting Qualcomm in this? The Exynos processors are good, give me that. Like the battery life
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. I got battery life as good as I get on this one. I got battery life back then on the 7, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish I never gave it back, but like there was always that threat, you know, I couldn't get on a plane if I had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the
Okay.
thing. And like mine were fine. It's a damn shame, but like, man, that was the best fucking phone. I'd still have it. I never would have traded that in. I loved that phone.
I
It was
feel you.
the best phone they ever made.
I'm definitely thinking of
The
going back to
best.
Samsung for my next phone. Overall, I've been satisfied
You know,
with the.
I've been buying notes since like the first one they did, where they had like that half curved screen. No,
Mhm.
not since then, but they did like that special, the Note Edge. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
That one with the half curve. I've been buying notes since that, and I love the notes. Like, there's rumors that they're going to do away with the note line, and I'm like, bro, I will. Sony just released, like, you know what's crazy? Sony keeps releasing new phones, and they're really good, but they don't always release them in the US. They released a phone with top of the line specs, a best in class camera, and a headphone jack.
What? Yeah, I mean, that
Everything.
is.
They had everything. They don't have like the pen like this has, but they had everything else. They had a Sony tuned OLED display, and it had a headphone jack. And it's just like, guys, what are we doing? Sony's got this figured out. What are you doing? What excuse do you have? Samsung, like, oh, we're making fun of Apple because we keep the headphone jack. We're going to get rid of the headphone jack, guys. We're going to just, it's the way the industry's moving. Like, you can't make fun of Apple and then a year later be like, actually,
yes,
we're going to innovate. You can't make fun of Apple and then be Apple. You can't. You can't do both. It's one or the other.
100% agreed. And that was sloppy. I did not like that. I remember being so pissed about that. And then with this thing, actually, like the story of how I figured out that I didn't have it. So like I've got like the OtterBox on mine, and I put it on like the first moment I got this phone. Like the first thing I did was put the case in the protector. And so like there's like the microphone up here that I thought that was a headphone jack. Because I never bothered to like really check it. I just like I didn't
That
even think about
like
it.
A
I saw
headphone jack.
Yeah, I saw a big circle up there. I was like, oh, clearly that's a headphone jack. So I get on a plane with only headphones that plug in because the brand new phone, so ready to use it. I've got like all this stuff that I purchased on like YouTube to stream out and whatnot, and like I go to plug it in and I can't. That's not a headphone jack. And so I'm just stuck there angry on this plane, nothing to watch, no way to listen to it unless I want to like listen to it out loud like those cool kids on the bus, which unfortunately I am not exactly that cool, so I keep my volume to myself. And it was quite miserable. So I am definitely on team bring back the jack. Hashtag bring back the jack. I better see that in the chat sometime. Yeah, that's my soapbox. I don't even remember where this rant began. All I know is that I want headphone jacks back. Yeah, as long as it ends with me getting back headphone jacks, I'll be a happier, more stable man.
I don't think they're ever coming back.
Nah, they're probably not.
They'll bring them back at some point. It's just like, yo, remember the jack? It's back.
Is it like a waterproofing thing? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think it like, but they had waterproof phones with headphone jacks. But like, I think it makes it easier. But you still like, it's not like the vulnerabilities go away because you still have like the speaker grills, you still have your USB ports, you still have like your microphones and stuff on the top. So it's like, you know, and your SIM trays and stuff like that. So there's still ways for liquid to get into the device. The waterproofing takes place inside of it. The jack, the excuse that I've come to understand is that the jack took up space that they wanted to use for like bigger batteries or better displays. They wanted to put a camera there instead of a headphone jack or something like that. And then Sony comes out and they're like, well, we did it all. They have like some crazy camera on the back, and then they're like, don't worry, there's still a headphone jack. And it's just like,
tough for me to believe that excuse.
Like that.
I mean, I do understand how that might make them have to be more creative. I feel like there's some level of fairness to that excuse, but I'm skeptical. I think that just getting people to buy more expensive stuff is because pretty much all of these manufacturers have some skin in the game, getting you to buy better technology in general. They're making these headphones. They're selling them. They're trying to bundle it with their products. And I'm just not for it.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's frustrating, you know? And that's the thing is at least like on our controllers, you know, like Microsoft used to have like their proprietary port and stuff. At least nowadays on a controller you can get a headphone jack. You know?
Those headphone jacks don't always work the way that I expect them to. The first time that I plugged a headphone into it, I thought it would just like be the sound of the system, and it wasn't.
It should be. That's how it works for me.
It was a PS4 controller here. Maybe I just did something wrong.
Yeah, because that's a standard headphone
On
jack.
the bottom of this thing here.
Yeah. Every time I've done it, it just plugs right in.
So maybe
Because
my
I've used it
controller's
with the headphones
faulty.
before. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I always thought it was just like only like their proprietary headphone or something, and I was like, oh, screw
No,
this.
any headphone should fit in there. No problem.
Interesting. That could potentially alter the amount of PlayStation that I play.
Could affect your PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Speaking of PlayStation, let's talk about some games. We've talked a lot about tablets and stuff. The people are here for games. What have you been keeping yourself busy with games and everything?
Not a lot on the console. I'm still playing a lot of classic. I am getting great playtime out of Civ 6. I do not get tired of that game. I have been loving the continued support that we've seen for it. I bought every DLC, I bought every pass, and I never for a second felt like I was wasting my money on that. I remember when they first introduced that kind of pricing model, like there was a lot of skepticism in the first ones, but I was like, I can see the love that is being given to this game right now, and I trust these developers. I like went right in with my wallet, and I have been rewarded handsomely, which is not something that you can always get in the gaming industry anymore. Like I have been made to be more skeptical as I've become a wise old man. You can see this beard, at least this amount of beard length is dedicated to experience, learning not to trust corporate entities. And so the fact that I felt comfortable and was correct about Civilizations 6 in this regard was important to me. And I've just kind of been getting like a lot of playtime out of some older games too. I get a lot of. I know you said it might not work here, but I get a lot of playtime out of the Jackbox packs and kind of those social games.
They're fun.
They are. They're very good. I
They're
love. It's an older game now. I don't know how old, but Into the Breach is kind of like chess to me. Like I can keep coming back to that. I don't know how familiar you are with it.
I've played a little bit of it. I have another game that I'm going to talk about later that is not quite in the same vein, but like spiritually similar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Into the Breach is a really cool game that I wish I spent more time with. And I didn't. Like I bought it on Switch and I bought it on PC, and it was just one of those games that I just like didn't get around to when it came out, and then just kind of like became increasingly less important to play immediately.
I totally get you, because I could see how this is like a medium attention game, like just attention-y enough to be on your radar, but never enough to bump it to the front. But I would encourage you to do it because it's just kind of got like this timelessness to it. It's got this satisfying gameplay loop where it's just every single encounter is a little bit different. It doesn't really get tired. It's a bit like chess in that, but so definitely that one. I finished Divinity Original Sin the other day. Original Sin 2. I was playing with a couple friends, and I did not end up becoming the divine one, which is total poop butt. But I did learn about the exploit where if you use telekinesis on an ornate chest. So the ornate chest. Okay, like I know that you've played quite a bit, but are you like know it top to bottom kind of guy, or are you just like have played it kind of guy?
I wouldn't say top to bottom, but we're familiar with a good chunk of the game. We're familiar with a couple ways to kind of cheese things a little bit, but not like extensively.
Well, so for me, because the two people that I was playing with were like encyclopedic knowledge about it. Okay. Like they have been through it like several times. Like they knew exactly what we were doing. I didn't have to like focus on leading the team anywhere. I just kind of went in and had my fun. I mean, you've played games with me before. You know how I operate. So like I go with this polymorph build. And I'm having fun with it for the first half. Like I've got chickens. Good telekinesis, turning people into chickens, which, by the way, one of the strongest spells in that game. Pretty much only like 4 creatures that we came across were immune to turn to chicken. Like every
really
other scary
dangerous,
boss.
And now you're a chicken.
Yeah,
and so I don't have to worry about you for 2 turns.
If you have the attack of opportunity, like you turn them into a chicken, and then the chicken runs away from you, so you get that free hit.
What I would do is I rupture the tendons of the chicken. So then the chicken runs away and they're just bleeding all over. And
Ah.
that's the trick, because then they're just like, "Ah," and they're just bleeding every step, just like,
Definitely should have done that. That is clever.
yeah.
So I was also kind of
tendies.
doing thievery and telekinesis as well. I was focusing on, so I'm like, they're like buying their stuff like legities. I'm like just robbing townspeople. I was playing an undead, so
Yeah, that's what I do.
yeah.
I'm an undead thief.
When I get caught and everyone gets angry and they start a battle with me, I just play dead. And then they all let go of it. They're all just, oh, I guess he's dead. Well, better get back to life. And I just get up and move on with my life, and nobody minds, which is delightful.
I
So
didn't know that would work, because somebody always got caught with me, because they would
yeah,
always be like
it has to
standing
be just
around
you.
me. Yeah, so they'd always be standing around me, so we'd get caught, and so we would just kill the town. We'd just kill him.
We waited until the end to kill the town. They're kind of useful to keep around, but
No,
I like
know,
that
but
vibe.
like we didn't have a choice at a certain point. And for a while, we were just committed to it. And then like everybody got tired of waiting for me to steal, because I would be like, yo, you guys got to leave. Because like at a certain point in the game, like they'll look at your other like party's bags, and even if they don't have the stuff you stole, they'll be like, hey, you have other stolen stuff. And it's like, bitch, how would you know? Like that to me is a really frustrating mechanic. Is like, how would you know this other stuff is stolen? How do you have any way of knowing without the game having a trigger and you just passing some like intelligence check to see it or something?
Yeah, Hundo P, especially when it's like it's very similar to like Skyrim in that regard, where you couldn't sell stolen items for some reason. Like, oh, I knew you stole this stew from HalfGen. But anyway, so I'm like playing around, like messing around with the polymorph build, stealing stuff, moving heavy stuff in my friends' way so that they have to deal with it, tossing the chests that they're trying to open out of their reach, just typical Fable stuff. And so one day I'm just reading the Reddit, and I'm just like blah blah blah, and I see some guy mentions the term barrelmancy, and I'm like, barrelmancy, what does that mean? So I find myself going down this rabbit hole. So as you might have noticed, and perhaps you used it once or twice before realizing it's basically useless, if you've got the telekinesis ability, you can pick up any item and throw it at an opponent. I don't know. Yeah, so it does a little bit of damage. The heavier that the item is, the more damage that it does. So if you throw a reinforced crate, for example, you'll get a good 75 damage out of it. If you throw a bucket, you'll get 3. But like it's only kind of significant at the very early game. After that, it kind of like fades out. And there are heavier things, but the way that kind of gets balanced is the more damage that it does to the enemy that it hits, the more damage it also does to the item. And so the item will break if you continue to use it as a battering ram. So pretty cool, right? Balanced. That's cool. Except there's one type of container in the game, the ornate chest, that kind of silver and gold one, where like usually quest items and stuff are held, where I guess in order to prevent you from soft locking the game, this chest does not have a health bar. And so when you're throwing it using the telekinesis ability, it doesn't do any damage to the item. Now, because the items in, the damage is based on the weight of the item that you're throwing, and container items can be continually stacked within one another indefinitely. There is no maximum items that you can put into a container, because then you can take out that box and put it into another box inside your box. So as soon as I learned about this, apparently the strategy is to find as many heavy objects as you can throughout the game and continue to stack them infinitely into this ornate chest. And as the weight goes up and up and up and up and up, so too does its damage. And the damage is calculated at half of the weight is equal to the damage that you'll get from hitting it. So each reinforced crate is worth 50. Sacks are worth 100. Large paintings are worth 150. Other chests are worth 20. Barrels are worth 5. So everywhere you go, you just stack everything into everything else, and then you place it into the ornate chest. Now, I only learned about this in the third act. By the time we reached the end of the game, I had a chest that weighed 29,000 in-game pounds for 14,000 damage per throw. And each use of telekinesis costs only 1 action point. So you can wander into the fight and then pick up the chest and throw it at them, and then pick it up and throw it at them again as many times as you have AP. So I'm just walking around this game carrying this chest like it's my little dog, like just tossing it in front of me and walking over it everywhere I go. Anytime that like they go into another like scene, I pick it up and then I'm over encumbered and I can't walk because I'm holding 29,000 pounds. So I use the pyramid thing to teleport over to where my buddy is and then toss the chest back onto the ground again. And so we're just like going through the game, and they like we did it for a few fights because it was hilarious, and then like they basically forbade me from using it. But I was like, "You're never gonna control me like that. I'm sorry." So I'm like bringing it every time that we're in a boss fight that's like not going well. I just throw the chest at it, and it kills any boss in one hit. So like we're at that final fight where it's like, you know, all the enemies are kind of like fighting against each other. What's her name's turned into a dragon. I'm just like,
I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet.
oh,
yeah,
okay,
no,
never mind.
You're good. You haven't said
none
enough.
of that
That's okay.
happens.
Sure,
you actually meet Johnny Depp on a pirate ship. And then it turns out that you're playing Sea of Thieves the whole time. That is the twist I was talking about. But yeah, either way, it was a very hilarious way to close out the game. Nuts.
Just one tap the boss for 14K.
Just boop
with an ornate chest.
4 tap. I mean, you get so many moves. My buddy would haste me, and then you can do adrenaline.
Yep,
it's disgusting.
And you're just throwing.
It is definitely something I suggest that you try. I
gotta level up my telekinesis.
Yes, and then like I had my telekinesis at 7 by the end of the game, so I'm just like whipping it all the way across the map, 55-meter range.
All right. Next time we play, I might have to respec.
It's actually tremendous. It is.
I'm gonna just take everything out of like warfare and just put it all into telekinesis. Just get like 10 telekinesis and just be like,
telekinesis is that civil ability. So
whatever. I'll do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm
gonna take everything out of thievery, and I'm just gonna be like, yeet.
It's actually amazing, especially if you just go to the town and you just like go to a crowded area in town. You're like, boop, 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 boop. All the townspeople falling like dominoes. It was a
You've inspired me for the next time I play. We're gonna
honestly like the reasons I loved that game in the end were probably for reasons the developers didn't intend. Just everything that was so like strange about the game, like just ways that you could be cheesy about it, were so attractive to me, and I love that. It was just like this little sandbox world where I was just messing around the whole time. Like it was tremendous. I thoroughly enjoyed that game, though perhaps not in the intended way. Is the end point of this.
If you can do it, it's intended.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean, though I don't know, the barrelmancy does not seem intended.
I mean, it has a name. It must be a thing. Barrelmancy. I never knew I wanted to be a barrelmancer until just now. You've changed my life.
I was out of breath laughing.
I need to find an ornate chest.
They're fairly common. Not like super common, but pretty much anywhere where there's like
next time I find one, I'm gonna be like, guys, wait here, I gotta go respec.
It is a little tedious, like filling it up, but like it's so rewarding as it gets stronger and stronger. Like it starts being like 200 damage.
So you're just
500 damage
with boxes and then just putting them in.
Yeah. So basically, while like my buddies were like looting things the proper way, I would use my telekinesis to bring all the items into the middle, and then I'd open up one of the barrels and then put everything into that barrel, and then I'd open up my ornate chest and put my barrel into the ornate chest.
Got it. Okay.
And then when the ornate chest filled up, I'd take all the barrels out. And I'd put all the barrels into one of the barrels and then put it back in the chest so you can start again. And like the weight retains no matter how many layers deep you are. Is epic.
Yeah, the weight is the only thing that stays consistent. It doesn't matter because you could put way bigger objects. You could put a whale in a barrel and then
You
just put
can
that
pick up
barrel
these.
in a chest, and it's just
You
like,
can
it
pick up
just
these
works. It
giant
just works.
murals and put them in the tiny little sacks. Oh, tremendous.
Oh, God.
But that has mostly been kind of my game spread. I haven't been getting as much time for games as I would ideally want. But how about you? Any stories from the gaming world?
I, a few nights ago, finished Loop Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very proud of me. I don't know how familiar you are with Loop Hero.
I did see you play it briefly on the stream, but not enough to have a really good sense of the game. So go ahead, open with the kind of description of what the game is.
So that's the hard part. So the game is basically existence gets wiped out. Okay, the universe is gone, but for whatever reason, your character has survived through it and now exists in this empty universe. And they slowly start to remember things, and those things slowly become reality. So there's like this world building mechanic with these cards. So you get these cards, like it all starts from a central base, and it's just a fire. And you get drawn to it because you recognize it. And so it's the one area you can't forget.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always go back to it. And then you go on these random generated loops, and on these loops you get these cards and you place them. Sometimes it's a cemetery, sometimes it's a rock or things like that. But you're basically building the world. And the more of certain things, like if you have 9 mountains in a 3x3, you make a giant, like a mountain peak, and you get like a bunch of resources for it. But now you start summoning harpies, or you might place a blood grove on on a grove, but then you might delete that grove and now it's like a hungry grove because it's not attached to the forest. So now it's like trying to hurt you while it's trying to eat the things you're trying to kill, and so it's like this double-edged sword. So a lot of the landmark things you can put down have like multiple effects. So I unlocked a very powerful combo. So I primarily played the Necromancer, and the Necromancer doesn't really do their own fighting. They summon skeletons to fight for them, and they come in like varying strength. And so what I did was I had this combo of using forests, which increase your attack speed, and rivers, which double the effect of parallel or of other cards that they're touching. So instead of getting a 2% boost in attack speed from a thicket, I would get a 4% boost, or if I played it right, a 6% boost. So I'm just like getting into battle. I'm like, skeleton, 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 skeleton. Oh, they're dead. Okay, next battle. Skelly, 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 skelly. I got like 300% attack speed, and I'm just like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. I'm just throwing them. I'm just whipping skeletons left and right at the bosses. And I'm just like, die, 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 die. And then I got like an ability where like they heal me when they die. So I'm like, I can do this all day.
That's gross.
But yeah, so I got that combo, and then like I'm just placing like all these monsters on the field so I can just get a bunch of XP and start leveling up. And like I got it's a run based game. So when you fail the loop, you go back, and if you die, you lose a bunch of resources. And so they did a big update. I want to say like the beginning of June, and or like mid-June, they did like a big update where they added a bunch of stuff. They added like a bunch of speed settings so you could adjust like the game speed a little more, so it sped it up a lot. And so I got hooked again. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I got to the second boss finally. For the first time ever, I got to the second boss. I killed them. Done. I got to the third boss, killed them, done. And I was like, holy shit, I'm on the last expedition. And I hit a wall because you have to kill all 3 bosses just to be able to get the opportunity to fight the final boss.
Mhm.
So I kept getting stuck, and like I kept like, so every loop you do, the world gets stronger, and there's a passage of time in the game. So when you're in battles and when you're walking, days go by, and every day certain things happen. Like every day a spider cocoon will send out a spider. Every 2 days a grove will send out a rat wolf,
Yeah.
so I'm getting in these more and more difficult battles, and while that's happening, all these things, multiple days are passing in this one fight. And so my loop is just flooded with enemies. So
Oh
I'm on
god.
like loop, 8 or 9, trying to fight the second boss. And every loop they get stronger.
Mhm.
And I'm just not getting the items to fight them. So I die. But this one loop, I like I killed the first boss on like the start of the third loop. And I was just like, holy shit, like that's the fastest I ever did it. Then I killed the second boss at the start of the fifth loop, and then I killed the third boss, I think the loop after that. And
Okay.
so I was just like I was really early game, but I was stacked. And I was just like, holy shit, like I killed these bosses like at the weakest I could probably get them. And so I'm just trying to flood the map with stuff, because like the more landmarks you place is how you summon the bosses. So the bosses are triggered by you building the world. And like there's a lot of cool mechanics to it where like your items in your inventory, when they like shuffle out of your inventory, they're forgotten. They're gone forever. And when you
Oh.
unequip an item, it's gone forever. So you
Mm.
forget about it, out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't exist anymore. So there's a lot of like, and that was one of the cool things they did, is they added the ability to like right click an item to lock it so it won't shuffle out of your inventory. So that allowed a lot like more like curated building. So you could just very carefully be like, okay, I'm going to lock this item so I can do this. But then when I'm ready to fight the boss, I'm going to do this. Or like, I want 5 skeletons now, but later I'm going to downgrade them to 4 because I want this to be more powerful when I get to this boss. And I just got really good RNG where the bosses weren't attacking me directly. And
Oh, so
so
good.
like I got to the final boss for the first time ever. And all
Mhm.
this shit's happening, and I'm just reading this. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm just fighting the boss, and my heart is racing, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, come on, guys, come on, guys. And I'm just watching his health kind of go, and then he starts attacking me, and my health is going down, dun, 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 dun. And I'm like, please, please,
Oh
please.
god.
I had one resurrection. I got him down to like a third of his health. He killed me.
Mm.
I had my res though. I'm like, we got this. I come back up, you die, and it's just playing this music, and it's like boom, and then you revive. It's like do 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 do, and you just come back up, and my fucking skeletons are kicking his ass. I fucking
Throwing
killed
skeletons
him.
for days.
My skelly bros are just out there. They're like chop, 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 chop. I fucking killed the boss, and I'm like watching
Nice.
this shit happen, and like there's like all this stuff happening. There's all these crazy reveals, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I finished the final boss before loop 10, which
Mhm.
is, I don't know if I could ever do that again. I ended up going to like loop 31. I ended up dying, but I still got like hundreds of resources and stuff. But that's how good this run was, that I just kept going. And I had like, by the end of it, I had like 12,000 bonus HP. I had like a 300% attack speed. Like, and I just got like kind of fucked over by like bad RNG where they were just targeting me instead of my skeletons. But it was incredible. It was like, I was playing, it was like the 4th night in a row I was playing Loop Hero, because I was like, I'm like, those games, I just get stuck and then I stop playing them. That's why I stopped playing Loop Hero in the first place, was trying to get to like the second boss. And so I was getting stuck, and I was like, no man, I can't. Like I was trying to build up my resources and stuff. I was like, I can't. So I was like, I am playing this game until I finish it. And the 3 nights before, I was just like stuck, and I was like, man, I can do this. And then like I'm looking up builds, I'm looking up like suggested stuff, and nothing was like post patch. So I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. And then at a certain point, like I was trying to do this one build where it was like raise my like magic armor and stuff. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go nuts, and I'm just gonna play this how I want to play it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
everybody was like, okay, you don't want too much attack speed because then you're like attacking. I said, fuck it. I want all the attack speed. I want to be summoning skeletons as fast as possible. I got all the right drops at all the right times. I'm going into these bosses like just destroying them. and just it was as close to a perfect run as I could ask for. It was
Sounds so
incredible.
rewarding.
The feeling was incredible. It was so satisfying. And like just watching my dudes go after that, because every way, like every loop, everything gets stronger. And I'm just watching my dudes like spawning up and they're just kicking everything's ass until like I died. It was my fault. But I was just like, that was the thing. I died and I was like, whatever. I was like, whatever. I'm going to go back and build a bunch of shit because I still kept hundreds of resources. Like you only get to keep 30%. And I'm like, 30% of what? Like fucking 4,000? Yeah. Oh no.
At a certain point, yeah. Regardless
like,
of the fact that it's 30% still. That's actually like
I was just I just wanted to see how far I could go. I almost completed loop 31. I died at the last second, and if I had completed it, I was gonna back out. It was so
just
fucking good,
too
man.
crazy
like,
at that
Loop
point.
Hero is such a good game.
I didn't know that much about it.
Good game.
You actually make it sound really dope. That makes me want to play it really badly.
Dude, like
by
Loop
your
Hero,
description.
it's a really slow burn at the start because there's a lot of like resource gathering you have to do. So there's a lot of runs that you're gonna back out early because you want to get your resources to build up your camp. But once you start doing that, and once you start getting a couple buildings and you start unlocking things like the Rogue, you start unlocking the Necromancer, you unlock the ability to get a free resurrection on every run. And then that affords you the opportunity to start taking more chances. It's like, okay, well, I can go one more loop because in a worst case scenario, I just, I don't, I got a res so I can finish the loop and back out. My suggestion is if you play early on, when you beat a boss, you have the option to take like an upgrade, like a trait to like, improve your character or resources. Take the resources.
Really? That would be like the exact opposite
not worth it
of how I would imagine.
So the thing is you didn't used to be able to do it, but now you can actually manage. So like you can manage your decks. You have 4 decks you can manage. So you can have them for different setups, and you can also manage your traits now, which you couldn't do before. So you can like unequip, like basically your traits. Eventually you get the ability to level up your character. It's a building you build in your camp. And those traits, you get to pick from 3 of them every time you level up. So what you want to do is there are certain traits that are locked in. They're based on your character. And then there are traits you get from bosses. So those are usually really powerful, like, or they're either very powerful or very not. Like some of them are like, hey, you can get like, sometimes this one specific thing won't always hit you or something. The only good one I ever got that I kept in my deck was one that gave me a free full resurrection. That was how I beat the final boss. That one I took. So if you see one that says get 1 full free resurrection, keep that.
Yeah,
everything else you don't need.
Powerful.
The resources. The resources are more important. Because like for my Necromancer, I got really lucky because like right at the beginning, like on loop 2 or something, I got an upgrade that gives my skeletons a quarter of a level up every loop. And you don't think about that, but once you get to like loop 20 or 30, exactly. Now all of a sudden they're getting like 5 or 6 free levels, and they're on top of the more powerful items you have. And then I got one that gave me a passive bonus skeleton. So that meant that now I could afford to have different items on that just up their level instead of having to worry about being able to summon more. So that allowed my skeletons to continue to be more powerful. And that was just how I managed to beat the boss. Is just I got those 2 really good upgrades right off the rip, and just worked out. There are items you can or there are like certain landmark cards you can unlock. Like I got this crypt. It's a gold card. Like you unlock it by doing some certain thing. It's like a certain building you build, like a mausoleum or something, and it gives you a free resurrection, but it takes away the bonus health you would get from armor. So on like the warrior and the rogue, that's dangerous because now you're getting very squishy. But on the necromancer, they don't wear armor.
Yeah, so you weren't really worried about that.
There's no downside for you. And so you're just getting the bonus HP, and there's no downside for you, and you're getting the bonus resurrection every run. And so, if you get that trait that gives you the bonus, now you've got 3 reses, and 2 of them will revive you to full health. So it's like, okay, now all of a sudden, I'm taking more chances. It's like I got those reses in my pocket. Maybe I want to
Unstoppable.
force
God.
this fight early, and I throw one of those reses out just to get this boss fight going a little quicker. It's such a good game. Like, I
Yeah,
haven't
I'll
been
have to
hooked on a
take a look at it.
game like Loop Hero like Hades is probably like, and that's the thing. I'm not really a run based
I have
guy,
my eye on
and
Hades.
Hades was the game that kind of helped me get through that. And then Loop Hero was like maybe like the hardest core one of those that I finished. And so now that's what's got me thinking like, okay, maybe now I'll enjoy a game like Into the Breach or something like that, because I'm just more accustomed to those run based games in a way I wasn't before.
Yeah, and yeah, you definitely do see that in Into the Breach. It sounds like Loop Hero kind of relies slightly more on that mechanic. I think like once you get good enough at Into the Breach, like you kind of stop worrying that much about the repeats. But definitely,
Right,
I'm looking at this now, and it is kind of very reasonably priced, and I love the
Highly
style.
recommend.
It's got like a very charming aesthetic to it.
It was made in RPG Maker.
No
Like,
way.
that's the thing. It was made in RPG Maker. Yeah.
Bro, I love RPG Maker. I wish I could make half of the stuff that
Yeah.
some people
Apparently,
make
it
on
was
this
made
thing. But
entirely in that.
how is that even
And it's got
oh
a
my!
great soundtrack.
Ooh,
It's
that
got an
makes me love this
incredible
even more.
soundtrack,
That's
too.
so
Like,
that is cool.
It's got a really good like 8-bit like. It sounds like a game that would be on a Game Boy. Like, it is such a like Game Boy styled game, but it's amazing. I love it.
Oh well, that is
You
cute.
should
I
absolutely
like that.
play. Like, that is a game that like I keep telling everybody on the site, like, come game of the year time, I'm like, make sure you have played Loop Hero, because there's going to be discussions around Loop Hero.
I am actually very
my
impressed
front
that
runner
that
right
is
now.
an RPG Maker title. I am blown away.
I don't like. I am almost positive that that's the case. That's what I
no,
read,
I'm believing you
but let me
100%. I'm
be
sorry.
double
That
sure.
is positive fact to me, and I'm going to go preach it from the mountaintops, and I'm going to quote you on it. I'm going to go into the court of law under oath and tell them that you told me that, just so that we're clear about how much I'm quoting you on that. But regardless, that looks amazing. That
don't
looks
quote me.
like it's too late. You consider yourself quoted. I've already written it down
that
in
it
8
was
languages.
RPG Maker, but it might be Unity.
That does make more sense. This looks hella complicated for RPG Maker, but believable if like you've got some crazy script knowledge, because I know that
I don't remember where I saw it.
it is
I saw something talking about RPG
a
Maker.
versatile tool. I don't know. I do know that a lot of stuff is made
I don't
in
know
RPG
where I
Maker.
saw that.
Now I want to play with RPG Maker, but like I don't have like the artistic talent to like make anything meaningful with that. Like I can only really use the sprites that come with it, and so like obviously anything that I make is like
No, NJ. I'm sorry,
time.
it wasn't RPG Maker. It was the Game Maker Studio, is what it's called.
Oh, that makes sense.
It wasn't
Game
RPG Maker. Game Maker
is. I've always liked things that give you
that's what got me stuck.
To make your own games. I am a huge fan of Super Mario Maker. I love that game. It is far and away my favorite Switch game. I do love those kind of opportunities to just build something and just have fun with it.
Have you seen the Game Builder Garage?
I have heard about Game Builder Garage, and I am very like interest peaked in it.
It's only $30. Like yeah, if you have any interest.
Is it out?
I thought Ross was going to be here because
not out yet.
Yeah, no, it came out in June.
Oh,
it is 100% out.
You may have.
I was going to show Ross.
Condemned me to a life of non-productivity by giving me this information.
Well, I mean, what else is new? What else is new? Either by me doing it or by you not being productive. They're all one and the same at a certain point.
Begrudgingly accept the truth of what you're saying. That is okay. Well, no, now I know what I'm buying next. I just got my Switch back from my sister, so that works. That works perfectly. Oh,
are you gonna buy? So,
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. Did you see the OLED Switch?
I heard people saying that it sounded dumb, but I don't know anything
So
about it. That's hearsay.
it's basically, okay, what if they took a Switch and put an OLED screen on it, fancied up the dock a little bit, and made the screen slightly larger, and then charged $50 more for it?
Yeah, so it's not like it doesn't like do anything.
Nope, it just has an OLED screen, which I'm a little disappointed. There are a lot of people who were like, pissed off, like, oh, it was supposed to be 4K. I don't give a shit about 4K. I just wanted like 1080, 60, But I'm still considering, because I have the Switch Lite and I have like the launch Switch. I'm thinking about maybe just selling both of those and getting the OLED model, and then just going back to one Switch. Because I have Joy-Con drift on that and I hate it.
I have,
and so I don't use that thing, drift. And I'm not gonna buy new Joy-Cons just because they make them bad.
Does this thing have better Joy-Con? And again, all I have is hearsay. I haven't looked into it much myself. But I see,
but I'm hoping
people are saying, that it's not addressed, that is by far the biggest issue with the Switch.
Maybe they're building better Joy-Cons now. Maybe this thing launches with a revised Joy-Con that addresses the drift. I don't know. But I don't know, because I heard the lights have it too, and so I'm hoping that maybe this is like their opportunity to be like, yeah, we got like these Joy-Cons are not going to drift, or they're less likely to drift. But I'm thinking about just getting rid of these because I like an OLED screen, and so that is appealing to me in a portable term. And I am just more likely, because like I hate right now, because like I'm playing a game on my Switch Lite, and the thing is like if I want to stream it or play it on my TV, now I got to transfer the save over here. I want to go back to that one Switch Lite where I can just take it out of the dock, bring it to work, play it, come home, put it back in the dock, and just keep playing. I want that real Switch life,
I agree. It is a natural extension of the Switch in that way, and I totally agree with you. Like I don't see this as like a useless product or anything. Like definitely, like you said, it has those kind of benefits into it, but like this kind of late into the game after the Switch's release, like I think that
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. This seems like something that should have come.
It would be one thing if you beefed it
more
a little
recently.
Bit.
Yeah.
That should have been the revision that they did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like
instead of the
when they
Switch
Lite,
Switch
with better battery life.
This. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right. That is
that. You could still do the Switch Lite, but
you're absolutely right. That's the point at which
that's what they should have done when they did that new red box Switch. Yeah.
Especially because I have so much love for the Switch. I don't get why,
because it has the same battery life as that revised one of these. It has the same exact battery life. The only difference is the new dock, which you can buy separately, has a built-in Ethernet port. So you can now hardwire your Switch without having to buy a dongle and use up a USB.
Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of like emblematic of like Nintendo decision making. Like this corporation that has such great potential and chooses to squander it so often. Because, like I said, I have huge love for the Switch. Like, I know my take on consoles isn't always the most popular one, but like I love the Switch. I recognize it as like mechanically inferior, but I think that this is my favorite console that probably ever released. Like the Switch offers me something that I don't get from my PC. Just the way that the games are designed for it, the way that they play, the way that the Switch emphasizes its portability, and the way that it brings players together. You made very good points against my opinion on, kind of these higher tech consoles versus the PC, which is to say that they're not necessarily just this direct competitor where the PC beats it. And I see that a little bit more now, but at the end of the day, I do still feel inclined to draw that comparison just because of the nature of the higher end consoles there. Whereas the fact that I can't put my PC up against the Switch is what makes me like my Switch so much. Like there's Switch.
The Steam competitor that they're making.
What's that?
Valve is making like a Switch-like PC.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. Let me see if I'm sorry, I didn't.
Is this going to be like a Zune versus iPod kind of thing, though?
I don't think that.
Because what kind of idiot buys an iPod? My Zune is still kicking. Bill Gates, pay me money.
What the fuck was this thing called? Yes, May 25th they announced it. No, that was when it was. Hold on, they announced this thing. Why can't I find it? I think it's. Is it Steam Pal? No. Introduce. I know they announced it, or I thought they did. No, I thought they announced this. Did they not?
I'm not sure. I hadn't heard about this. It's very. I don't know. I don't know that somebody who's not Nintendo can do this.
I have to know if like this thing got. I swear this thing got announced.
I don't know. You're playing with my heart now, it seems.
I don't know. According to rumors, they're going to release it at the end of the year, and it's going to be like $3.99.
Yeah, I mean,
just a PC.
But like, is it just going to play
like,
Steam games on it though?
It's going to run on Steam's proprietary Linux, the Steam OS. So it's going to run. It's going to have anything that runs on Steam OS, anything that theoretically, they're going to go to developers and they're going to be like, "Hey, if you run on Steam, please support this thing."
Is it?
But you'll have
the reason why this. I'm worried that like this device that you have now made me fall in love with, despite not seeing it, like a woman who I briefly spent 15 seconds with on an elevator. I'm worried that they're going to do exactly what I'm afraid of again here, what I don't like again here, where it'll just be like, if it just plays Steam games, like I'll just go home and play Steam games.
That's the idea.
The Switch has like this emphasis on its mobility, has the emphasis on its ability to bring people together, which I mean, maybe they're going to capitalize on that. But if they don't, then it's not going to be a product that I'm going to love like I love the Switch.
Well, I think the thing that the way they're looking at it is it's like it's going to be easier than bringing like a gaming laptop. You know, it's the smaller, more comfortable alternative to the high-powered gaming laptop, because the rumor is it's going to run on like a Zen APU.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea would be is like, hey, you can use this on the go to play games from your Steam library. Or when you're home and on your network, you can stream games to it like Steam Link, you know? So you can be in the kitchen playing Civ 6, but running on your PC, you know, a full version of Civ 6, not like, you know, the Switch port with however many updates behind, you know?
Yeah, that Switch port
not having all the DLC or something.
Pile of butt. But again, like I'm not going to my Switch to play Civ.
It does seem to be more of a complementary device. They're not trying to compete with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to take advantage of the form factor and the design and be like, hey, we can make a PC that does that.
And that's not a terrible idea or anything.
And at an affordable enough price point, you know,
yeah.
I mean, if you're running games at 720, you run almost anything on it.
Yes.
You know, if you're running it on a good, you know, AMD APU.
And I agree, but then again, we're kind of running into the problem where, like, if it's just competing with game laptops, you know, why would I pick up this product that has less utility than the laptop? Which, I mean, I do get why I would get it. Portability, battery life, things like I get it, but like on the other hand,
competing with that. Because like a gaming laptop, I think most people who buy gaming laptops are fall into one of two camps. I don't want a desktop, but I want to play a lot of games. So I'm going to buy a gaming laptop. Or someone like me who is just like, I want to be able to play these higher end games that I like, and I want to be able to bring them, you know, when I go on a trip or something, I want to be able to, you know, hook up to hotel Wi-Fi or something and play Destiny, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing. You're either getting the gamers who don't want a desktop. They just want something portable that they can easily put away and not have to dedicate a bunch of space to, but they want to play the games. Or people like me who are just like, I want to play these games as often as I can, And the idea to me of having something that size that could theoretically play Destiny and just, it's got full controller support. So like Destiny would work on that. And just being able to be like, okay, cool. At work, I'm just going to play this fucking thing, That's
Yeah.
cool to me.
And like I said, hundo people. And I don't know. It gives me flashbacks to the PSP, which was never what. And like obviously,
The
I'm
PSP was
sure
a
they
damn good system. I will fight you to the death.
And again, like here we kind of like I got to take
PSP
a
was
step back
excellent.
where the PSP is a good device. I owned one myself and I took good enjoyment in it, but I don't know whether or not that is a niche that and maybe this is an opinion thing. Maybe this is me and not the device itself, but like when you're fighting against so much to like bring this performance and mobility together, you're straddling this line between other more powerful or more specialized devices that loses people like me. Whereas you, someone who can be an enthusiast that will make more use of this product, whose lifestyle is more inclined to put in that extra funding because you'll use it and you'll appreciate it. Someone who isn't able to dedicate the same amount of resources in time and money is going to drop those first before they drop looking at the next thing, which is either more portable or more powerful, which is kind of where I ended up with the PSP. Like, it was quality little thing. I love that it existed, but I kind of stopped playing it because I either like stuck with like the more simple kind of Game Boy stuff, or I went more onto the actual PlayStation itself when I wanted something higher fidelity.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, I think with the PSP, they did a better job than how they did it with the Vita, is they made like bite-sized console experiences. Like the PSP was like the Vita felt more like a companion device, whereas like a lot of cross-buy and stuff like that. Whereas the PSP felt like a handheld console. The PSP had more in common with the Game Boy and the DS in that regard than the Vita did with like the 3DS or the Switch. The PSP was an excellent, just like it got games like Final Fantasy Crisis Core. It got 2 exceptional God of War games. I bought UMDs. I still have the SWAT UMD, movie. Because I say UMDs, like I meant the movies, like the movies on UMD. I have SWAT, and I think I have Advent Children, and iRobot.
Yeah, those UMDs
and I watched
like,
them. I watched them on my PSP.
Like those little things. Yeah.
It was such a dumb thing.
It was, but it was charming. I don't know.
Just had great game. Like Twisted Metal Head On is my favorite Twisted Metal game, and like that was like the game I played the most on my PSP. Like I loved that it had online. I loved that like I could connect it to the internet and I could browse the web on it. Because like I didn't have a
perfect
phone,
for a game.
And phones couldn't do that back then.
Twisted
So
Metal Head
it was
On,
like cool. Yeah, like, and that was the thing, and they did such a better job with the PSP than they did with the Vita. Even though the Vita is an infinitely better handheld, the Vita is probably the best dedicated portable gaming device ever built. And
I have not.
I'm not going to shy away from that.
Yeah,
it is.
I do know that is a hot take to some people, but I haven't used one, so I can't.
Some people are wrong,
Speak. Perhaps so.
Some people are wrong.
In my experience, almost everyone who's not me is wrong about most things. So, that's a lot of people. 7 billion something by my count. I don't know. And the fact that you just mentioned phones there, that creates an interesting competitor in the portable market as well. Like of course, phones have a lot more limitations in the fact that they need to be able to do more. But do you think that as phones get better and better, that they might? I mean, I don't think they're ever going to be a serious competitor to like a PlayStation 5, but like Do you think that could be more of a threat to the mobile consoles?
I don't think so, and only because they're two different methodologies. And the thing is it's much easier to take, like, just look at how loot boxes became such a problem is because they were a
Mm-hmm.
mobile mechanic because people don't want to spend. Nobody's going to
Fuck
spend sixty
robots.
dollars on a game on their phone. No one.
Mm-hmm.
So that immediately rules out these big budget AAA games. You're not going to put the new Battlefield on a phone
Yeah, it's
because you
just
want
not worth
people
it.
to spend the $60 to $70 to buy it on their console or their PC and play this high fidelity experience. A Battlefield, I think, loses a lot of itself, and that's why they make like a Call of Duty Mobile. But the thing is it's free, and it's supplemented by there's just a bunch of fireworks outside now. It's pouring rain again. And it's supplemented by like those mechanics, those gotcha mechanics. Even like Raid Shadow Legends, which I talked about last week, that I had that I've been playing, is like that's a good game, but it's mechanically, it's all about it's realistically, it's about getting you to spend money.
Yeah,
And that's how the mobile games make their money. And that's the crazy thing is nobody will spend $60 to buy a full video game on their phone, but they'll spend, and I've done it, 30, 40, $50 to
yeah.
amplify their experience on a mobile game.
But do you think that is a kind
And
of mental barrier that might get broken in time if cell phone technology manages to advance rapidly enough that, like, maybe
so that's
at
the thing
some
is,
point our cultural conception of paying $80 for a phone app might differ one day? Or is that probably just like
no,
never
because
gonna
that's the
happen?
thing is the people who, yeah, I hope this doesn't come through on the recording because I think there's a little bit of a delay going on here. So I hope
It
this
does
doesn't
seem
come
that
through
way.
on the recording too bad. Yeah, but Zencaster in theory is keeping everything together the way it should be. So we should be good. It does all the syncing for us. So let's hope that they hold up their end of the bargain on this one.
They
Um,
better.
but man yells at cloud. Um, the thing is with mobile, it's a different audience for the most part. There is a cross section with, you know, the air quotes core gamer, people like me. And now that I'm trying to, I'm playing some more games on my phone than I was before. But the thing is when I come home, I don't play games on my phone. I play them on my PC. I play them on my console and stuff like that. The people who play games on their phone and only play games on their phone aren't the people who want the new Battlefield, who want Final Fantasy VII Remake, who want, I think Loop Hero would be an excellent mobile game, and I think that should come to phones. But
I
like
can
you
see
look
that.
at like a Cyberpunk, the people who are playing games on their iPhone don't care about Cyberpunk, because they're playing these smaller bite-sized games, and that is the thing is when I'm home and I'm on my PC, I want to play this expansive open world, action game. When I'm on my phone, I want something I can easily put away. And so you're not going to play Battlefield on a phone because a round in Battlefield could take an hour. And I want something that I can get in and get out of. So
Yeah,
it's this whole
but
concept, and
this is
and,
kind
and
of
that's the thing is like,
where I'm
I was
coming
just gonna
through
say
with
like
the cult. Yeah, there's definitely a delay, but where I'm coming through with like the cultural
this delay
conception,
is
because
killing us right
there's
now.
like an over. I'm used to it as like primarily your kind of stream
Yeah.
viewer. No, like not every cell phone owner or cell phone game player will be someone who owns a console or a PC, but every
Most of them
person who
aren't,
wants
I
to
would
play
say.
games on a PC or a console, every single one of them is going to have a cell phone. And especially, I know that there has been kind of some experimenting going on with like playing games like by live streaming them rather than installing them. I could see that, someday kind of picking up. And, maybe I'm just like black mirroring things in my head, but I'm kind of imagining, like a future, maybe 7 years from now, where when I want to play a game, instead of like, you know, activating like whatever device I want to play. Like I just pull up my phone and like I open the game app, and then like my TV is already synced with it. My TV switches over to the game, and then boom, I'm using this thing in order to play a game up there, which actually probably that might be one of the things that really brings it down, is that the cell phone doesn't have that kind of ergonomic design that a controller does. Like you're definitely going to kill your thumbs really quickly. But I don't know, there could be more creative solutions to that in the future as well. It's just
Yeah.
I'm really kind of theory crafting here now, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just think the big thing when you look at again when you look at mobile, the thing is it was very easy to take a lot of those like free to play mechanics and
Yeah,
translate them into your everyday AAA game,
yeah,
and just look at like Ultimate Team and stuff like that. Those were easy mechanics to take and put into existing core games. But the thing is, you don't see it going the other way because that's, yes, like there are things like Stadia and there's, Microsoft's cloud gaming and there's Amazon Luna and pardon me, a million other things. But, game streaming is one thing and that's going to, I think these companies that are looking at streaming, they're looking at getting their hands on the next billion gamers. But I don't think those people are interested. I don't think they're interested in going on Google Stadia and paying $60 for Cyberpunk. I don't think they're interested in subscribing to Game Pass and playing, Halo Infinite on their phone. But they want them to. They want them to
yeah.
pay $15 a month and be like, look, you can play the game as it would run on a Series X, but you can play it on your Galaxy phone or on your iPhone or whatever you want. But the people who are already entrenched in that culture, the people who are interested in Halo benefit more from Microsoft's cloud streaming than, someone like my mom, who knows what
Right,
Halo
but your
is, but
mom
she
would
would never
never be
play
the
it, but she
target
might
audience
like
for this.
a small game. No, but that she is, because that's the idea, is it's getting the people who have phones but aren't like, they don't have a console hooked up to their TV or they don't want this, but they want to experience it, right?
I
And
mean,
so
yes
yeah,
and
maybe,
no.
maybe she's not,
Um,
but I feel like that's the
because
people that they're targeting, is the people who aren't interested in them right now. And that's who they want, is the people who aren't interested in owning an Xbox, the people who aren't interested in owning a Switch or a PlayStation or a PC. They want them to play those games
I
streamed
mean,
to their
I'm
phone.
certain that they
And
do. But if you maybe like consider not necessarily that they want to introduce someone new who, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm cutting you off, but like because of the delay, like there's no way for me to naturally
yeah,
come into these. So I'm not cutting you off to be rude. It's just like I have to
no,
kind of be
we're good.
bold about it. So it's not necessarily that they want to try to get a new person who, like they don't want to get my mom. They want instead to get someone like me who looks at an $800 console and be like, hey, instead of going out and buying that really fancy console, we obviously amazing device, but instead just like hook up your PS5 controller through Bluetooth to your phone, and then your phone through our streaming service to your TV, and then you cut out the middleman effectively. And then instead of getting a new, because I've bought every console, and then as it is right now, I'm planning to buy this console generation. Right now, I'm looking at the PS5. That is my top contender, but I'm going to wait until it's in the budget and everything. But like, they're theoretically, if they could really like hit the hammer when the iron's hot, get me to say, maybe I don't need to spend that much money on the PS5 if I can still get enough good games and still have that ergonomic advantage of the control.
I'm trying to find the quote from Phil Spencer, because he talked about, like, he has specifically said that, like, when they were talking about Project X Cloud, he specifically said it was to target the next billion gamers, and that's the thing, is it's because of, the proliferation of mobile devices, because there will always be more phones than Xboxes. And I mean, like, I don't have the exact quote, but like he's talking about the service. Like, we want the trial to be as easy as it is in music and video today, where you can send a track in Spotify and you can stream it instantly. Over
Mm-hmm.
time, anywhere I see a game, I should be able to give it a try, you know? And so that's the thing is he wants people to play the games he's making. He wants people to play Sea of Thieves on their iPhone, but he wants people who wouldn't otherwise own an Xbox to do it. That's the real, the testing and the trial of it is targeted at people like me who are already invested in those games so that they can figure out, you start those trials with someone like, a core gamer and be like, okay, how does this feel compared to playing it on your console or on your PC? And that's how they're going to kind of weed everything down, and they're going to get everything kind of nice and tight and say, okay, so this is where, we get, this is where we figure out how well our system is running. And then from there, it's the idea of getting it in the hands of people who can't or won't buy an Xbox. And you already have your phone. Why not play Starfield? That's their target. I think I might have found the quote.
And by the sounds of it, it sounds like
Okay.
trying to expand that might be like the wrong thing. I think like with this quote, you might be showing me that their approach might be bad.
Which is my point, that they're targeting the wrong demographic with cloud gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the quote from Spencer. So this is from an Xbox article. This was like June 10th. This was June 10th when they kind of rolled out. I think they were like rolling out Series X functionality. So we believe that games, that interactive entertainment aren't really about hardware and software. It's not about pixels. It's about people. Games bring people together. Games build bridges and forge bonds, generating mutual empathy among people all over the world, joy and community. That's why we're here. And then the CEO of Microsoft, the third thunderstorm of the day, son of a bitch. Satya Nadella, I think is how you say his name. Gaming is fundamentally aligned with our mission as a company. When you talk about Xbox's mission to bring the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet, which I absolutely love, that is precisely aligned with Microsoft's mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. As a company, Microsoft is all in on gaming. Gaming is the most dynamic category in the entertainment industry. 3 billion consumers look to gaming for entertainment, community creation, as well as a real sense of achievement. And our ambition is to empower each of them wherever they play. Which, to me, again, the market for Xbox is not 3 billion. You can add PlayStation, you can add PC, you can add Switch, and you could add probably every platform ever. You're not touching 3 billion. Their target is the people who only play mobile. That's who they want to start getting they want them to play Sea of Thieves. They want them to play Starfield. They want to be able to get 1 billion people to play Starfield. And they want most of them, 99% of them, to do it from this, because for them, that's people. Now they're locked into this service. They want to sell people the service.
Yeah.
And
it definitely very corporate.
Yeah. And that's the thing for me is I see the value in that for me, being able to be at work and being on my iPad and just like, let me just Bluetooth my controller and I can just pick up where I left off on the cloud. Like, that's dope. Like, to me, like, that would be really cool. And I would do that. But, for my mom, there are games she would play on her phone. She's not going to play Starfield, and there's a good chunk of mobile users who are not going to do it. So they're targeting mobile as the next like battleground for AAA, whether it's through a service like Cloud or through Stadia or whatever the case may be. They're looking at it as there's 3 billion gamers. Why shouldn't they be playing Xbox? Which, as noble as that sentiment might be, isn't realistic. Because the people who care about Xbox and care about those games will own a platform that can play them. And ideally, they don't want it to be on their phone. The streaming is a supplemental service, kind of like what the Vita was to the PS4. You don't have one without the other. And I don't think that these people are trying to target the widest demographic of players imaginable, but I don't see, their example, like, I could see it maybe with like the sports games. I know guys at work who maybe
For
don't
sure,
have
the
a
sports
PlayStation
games.
or an Xbox, and maybe they want to play the latest FIFA. And if they can stream that, that's cool. But I don't see people, chomping at the bit to be like, yo, I can't wait to play Halo Infinite. I got the xCloud. I'm going to play it on my phone.
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
also
see
feel
it.
like the quote that we just heard there was also very corporate in its approach as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of they want an investor to hear that and hear 3 billion. So
No,
I
that
I
was
think
on the Xbox like news.
yeah,
That was 2 players. Like that was like Xbox addressing the next stage of their cloud development. So that was to everybody. That was as a press release,
everyone
but also a statement
including
to
the
players.
the people who are going to be playing big money
That was a
ball with them.
statement to 3 billion people.
Yeah. And they're always going to want to make themselves sound as big and important as they can. So in that regard, I feel like there should be a grain of salt taken with that, and I could see that as a future. I don't think the consoles are in any direct danger, and I think that you've got a point there that you can't, or maybe you can, but it would be very difficult to fundamentally try to corner both that cell phone market and that console market. Like they do have those very differing priorities as to why they bought the device in the first place. Unless, I don't know, maybe we're just moving towards some crazy all-in-one device someday, like where just the cell phone has
Yeah, I'm
gotten
not
so
saying it
powerful
can't
that like we
happen.
don't have anything else.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't happen. More so that like I don't think this is the
Yeah,
solution,
agreed.
I think
Agreed with
one
you
of two things is
100% on
going to
that.
happen, okay? Games are going to evolve, and they're going to evolve one of two ways. They're going to continue their path, and they're going to further diverge, and they're going to further emphasize, okay, this is the experience that you're going to get on a mobile game. And they're going to double down on that, and they're going to borrow more and more elements, but they're going to fundamentally stay these smaller, drip games that are more like, hey, you give us some money, we give you some resources, and then that cuts out the time, or we don't time gate this or that or whatever. Whereas, and I think, not to, unreasonably tout like, some people's horns or anything, but I think Sony is a great example of the divergence in the other direction of like, okay, further solidifying that this is the AAA blockbuster experience. We're going to make games that can only be experienced this way. And yeah, if you want to stream them, we have PlayStation Now and you can do that stuff. But we want to emphasize the uh uh we want to emphasize the value of owning this platform and the quality of this device. So that to me is, I think, the way we're going to keep going. The other direction is that mobile becomes the primary platform and everybody starts to target mobile. And then you
Which
see these
is a
games, these
scary
AAA
reality.
blockbusters, but not for the corporations. For the
Yeah, not at all
corporations that
for
are going to
them. Yeah.
profit, that's the better future for them. And
Mhm.
that's what concerns me, is because I
Yeah.
like these big, expansive AAA blockbusters and
Yes.
I want them. But the reality is, we will probably see more and more games they're either going to make 2 versions like what Call of Duty does, and they're going to have a free to play one for mobile, and they're going to do, the annual Call of Duty that sells X amount of copies and is the big like commercial product, or they're just going to keep making Call of Duty for mobile and they'll just start bringing that to consoles and they'll be like, okay, well, it doesn't make sense to spend $1 billion making this game when we can make $1 billion in a month on
Mhm.
this game,
And
and
now
just not have to worry as much.
yes. And kind of, with that context of, what you've just said, that kind of, brings some maybe less pessimistic ideas to my brain there, where, or maybe more pessimistic. I don't know. I could see it going one way or the other, but I'll kind of say it out at you, where like the kind of big repeat games, the FIFAs, the NBA 2Ks, the Call of Duties, where those kind of get centralized into this all-in-one service, and then perhaps that allows those of us who want that kind of quality, love, and art to be kind of on their own in another market, because like definitely those recycling games are very susceptible to the whale hunting strategy of the microtransactions that add up to the thousands. Grand Theft Auto 5, those shark cards. The NBA 2K, if you want to win, pay us $600 for all of these basketball player cards. And maybe if the corporations are allowed like this little area where they can focus on that, and then they'll stop messing with games like Shadow of War, where like, I know they won't. I know. I'm dreaming.
Both.
I know.
I know.
But
because they can do both. Why wouldn't they?
Exactly. I know. But like, a man can dream. Hopefully,
I know.
Maybe one day we'll live in that world where, that kid with mommy's credit card is like, I want to buy the PPSH or whatever, and is living his best life. And, we can be playing.
Why the PPSH? Why is that the gun? Nobody wants that.
I don't know. Just definitely brings
like MP7, something good.
Xbox 360 days.
It starts with PP.
Yeah, basically. When those little 14-year-old kids, they were like, you're camping. That's cheating. You can't camp like that. I'm sure we all met a bunch of those kids. We were those kids, and then we bullied those kids, and now we can mock those kids. It's the circle of life. One day, those kids will be us on their own gaming podcasts, doing their own high voices, but they'll be talking about Fortnite.
I hope not. I hope not.
I, for one, hope that the cycle continues.
Fabian welcomes our new Squeaker Lord Overlords.
All right, I for one welcome our Squeaky Overlords. You can't tell me those weren't the golden days of gaming in a lot of ways.
I think Squeaky Overlords might be the title this week. It was gonna maybe be Mommy's credit card, but I think Squeaky Overlords. I don't know. What do you think?
Squeaky Overlords,
Mommy's credit card
is a contender. I also do like a hashtag Bring Back the Jack. I like Squeaky Overlords though, but ultimately I trust you. Your judgment is a judgment that has been good to me. So whatever you choose, what feels right to you, go with it.
I'm gonna do. It was Mommy's credit card right till you said Squeaky Overlords, and then I was like, yeah, no, I think that's it. I think that'll trend.
Welcome, my Squeaky Overlords. Oh man, was
guys, but
absolute pleasure to be here. I want to thank you so much for having me on. I want to
thanks for coming from your luxury apartment.
Yeah, definitely.
That's totally real.
Floating green lines are really, the tears in the fabric of reality.
No, that's artifacting in the camera. It happens.
Yeah,
this is production, people. This is live.
Yeah, exactly. Hundo P. And don't worry about the fact that the angle of the sun has not changed over these past 2 hours.
Or that his chair goes invisible sometimes, depending on the angle of the chair.
No, that's just it's a gamer chair. Your gamer chair doesn't disappear intermittently.
It's translucent. Come on.
Yeah.
He paid good money for that. That's a feature.
It is.
That's at least 6 FPS.
Like cling wrap and rebar. It's my own personal creation, fully transparent, except when it turns green.
That's just the artifacting.
Artifacting, exactly.
Yeah. Just explain it away. It's artifacting.
Artifacting. Except when it comes to footage of Bigfoot, in which case artifacting is not a thing. Bigfoot completely real. I just had to put that in there, just because I'm worried a skeptic might take that statement and run away with it. I want to protect.
Photoshop can only do so much.
Yeah, I mean, it can fake a moon landing, but come on. Why would a guy ever be in a hairy suit? Sorry, I digress. This is not a gaming, or this is a gaming podcast and not a Sasquatch podcast. Though
it could be. There's games about that.
It's a Slender Man mod, but absolutely, it truly was a pleasure.
Pleasure to have you, my friend.
Yeah,
you're always welcome.
So long, good night, and kiss your kids into bed at night.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Here
This has
comes
been
the
another
dope
episode.
music.
This has been another episode of the HalfGen podcast. We love you.
Mwah.
We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.